So next I'm going to show you how to place an image. So if you have a JPEG file and you want to be able to make some edits, you can place the image in Illustrator and you can run a process called trace, which will turn the image back into vectors, which we can manipulate. So I'm going to go to File, and then I'm going to go to Place on the drop-down menu, click Place, and I've put the JPEG that I'm looking for on my desktop. So it's the old waterfront logo. And I'm going to click Place. Now you can kind of choose where you want to place the JPEG or image in Illustrator. So I'm just going to click on the screen and it will open up. Now as you can see, it's a bit big, it's a lot bigger than the artboard. So we've got two ways we can resize that. We can either hover over the corner, hold down Shift to keep the width and height locked together so we don't distort the image. So that's one way we can do that. Or we can click on the object, press S for scale on the keyboard, hit enter and bring up the scale box. If we scale by about 50%, that should do. Okay, now going back to the select tool. So I'm pressing V on my keyboard, but you can also select the select tool here. So we want the select tool when we're moving things around, okay? So I'm going to use the select tool to grab my object by clicking on it and then holding down the mouse I can move it around. Okay, so I think that needs to be a little bit smaller still. Top corner, I'm getting the double arrowhead that is indicative that I can resize, holding Shift and resizing. Just to quickly show you, if you don't hold Shift, you get that distort. We don't want to distort the original. So I'm going to go Control Z to undo that, and then I'm going to hold Shift and resize whilst locking the height and the width in place. So, okay, so we've placed the image. We've now opened a JPEG image in Illustrator, and at the moment we can't edit anything because it is a fixed flat image. Okay, we can't grab the text, we can't grab the background, we can't change the colors, but that will soon change. So I'm going to, with the object selected, so I'm going to click on it. You've got the bounding box, which is indicative that the object is selected. Okay. We're going to go to Object, go down to Image Trace, and then go to Make. Okay, now Adobe Illustrator generally has some default settings for tracing images, but there are lots of other settings you can choose from. If you wanted to bring in the original color, you could choose 3 color, 6 color, 16 color. Again, it would depend on how many colors are in the design and how accurate you want each color, individual color to be picked up. So if you only wanted to kind of boil down to the very basic colors, then pick 3 colors. If you have a very complex image with lots and lots of colors, running a trace will use an incredible amount of computer processing power, and it could take 10 minutes, half an hour. Your fan will be whirring, your computer will be running. It's quite a complex algorithm to do it. So don't try to live trace images like photo images unless you have an incredibly powerful design specification machine, because it will take forever and you'll probably crash Illustrator. This process works best for simple logos. So simple logos that have 3 or 6 colors perhaps, or 3 or 4 major shapes, you'll get a more accurate result that you can work with. If you try to run a trace on a lifelike photo of a person or a landscape, you'll probably crash your program. So back to the live trace. So the Illustrator is opened on default, which has worked quite well for this example because we really want to keep the text and we're going to rework the paintbrush stroke. So that's pretty much what we want to do. Now, when it runs a live trace, it'll also bring in the white background of the JPEG image as well. And as we've got rid of the color, because we've done our trace in default, which is sort of black and white, it'll also bring in white in the loops of the letters. We don't particularly want that, we just want the letters, nothing else, no background, no white shapes inside of the loops. So we can run a little function by going up here to the tracing panel. So it's just this little box here. It doesn't really sort of say what it is, but if you click on this little box, you have the image trace panel and you've got lots more settings. We're going to click on Advanced to unlock even more settings, and we're going to go to Ignore White at the bottom. So click on Ignore White. Okay, oops. Okay, and sorry, just having a bit of a moment. Bit of a delay. Okay, so once we've clicked on, it doesn't want to let me. I don't know why it doesn't want to let me. Hang on a second. Let's see if I can close that panel and open it again. Back, there we go, there we go. Yeah, ignore white is highlighted. Sorry, just having a bit of a moment. These things happen. Okay, so we've got ignore white ticked, and now I'm ready to click expand, and expand is going to run the final program. So click expand, and it has expanded the JPEG and it has turned it back into vectors. So if I drag over here where the white box was from the JPEG, it's not there anymore. If I click on the letter loops, I'm not picking anything up. There's nothing there. It's completely transparent. I'll just show you. So if I drag the image off the artboard, you can see now that it's completely transparent. There is nothing in between the letter loops. There's nothing behind the letters. Okay, so we've got rid of all that artwork, and we're free to work on the font that the client wanted to keep, the typeface. And if we wanted to, we can use a direct select tool as well. And this is when we can really get into sort of nitty-gritty editing. You know, if we wanted to change the shape of some of the letters, we could do that, because now we have a live vector, and vectors are made from anchor points and lines. They're made from line, color, and thickness and fill, and it gives us that creative ability to kind of manipulate shapes, colors, and create effects, so we can actually edit images that were once sort of finished and flat. We can bring them back to life and make changes. So for example here, I can highlight the sharing fare and wine bar wording and delete that if I wanted to. Okay, so now we have an editable, workable piece of vector artwork that we can use. So if you ever work with a client, they have a logo, they want some changes made to their logo, perhaps they want the wording made bigger underneath, or they want the logo colors to be changed, this is a process you can run in Illustrator that gives you that creative flexibility.